Welcome to Game Plan on 99.7 Joe FM, your most authoritative sports talk show on radio. We're on from now till 3 p.m. Putting on rather perspective on all of the week's top sports stories. And there have been a lot this weekend, this whole week. Yesterday in particular, news broke that 21 players that had been suspended by the Ghana Football Association's disciplinary committee, a decision upheld by the appeals committee, that has now been overturned by a higher jurisdiction. A higher judicial body, the Court of Arbitration for Sport. And it did not just overturn the decision, it's also fined the Ghana Football Association $12,300 in total. 9,300, I beg your pardon. $9,300 in total. $300 each to 21 players. Coming up to 6,300. And then one other player alone, Richmond Lamptey. He has been, the GFA has been ordered to pay him $3,000. And all of this dates back to their alleged involvement in the match-fixing scandal that has now seen Ashgold completely eradicated from the Ghana football books, demoted to the 3rd division. So the question everybody is asking is, what does this decision mean for even Ashgold themselves? And for these players, is $300 really enough for the damages caused them since that ban was put in place? All your questions will be answered here on the show. But ultimately, does it bring into question a lot of the decisions from our disciplinary committee? I saw somebody say on Twitter that if everybody else had enough money to go to CAS to challenge every decision from our disciplinary committee, the Ghana Football Association would pay so much compensation they would be broke. Apparently, of course, insinuating that a lot of the decisions are questionable. But we'll look at this particular one and the merits of it and its overall implication on our football. So that's on the agenda today on the show. The Women's World Cup is still ongoing. Nigeria yesterday recorded a famous win over host nation Australia. The other host nation, New Zealand, also lost surprisingly to Philippines. And so now the two host nations are in real danger of getting kicked out of the competition in the group stages. But they want equal pay. Oh, goodness me. All right, we'll have a look at that. Chelsea cannot seem to get their man. Moses Caicedo, a new improved £80 million bid for his signature. Brighton says, no way. The only way they would be considering is pay £100 million in cash or bring Colwell in addition. And then we can consider. Should Chelsea walk away, look at other alternatives, or just stomach it and pay up? You've seen your favorite club in preseason. What's missing? Do you think you have a complete team? Manchester United, they were humbled by Real Madrid, of course, after they beat Arsenal. Rasmus Højlund on his way to Man United. But €10 million difference is what's currently holding the deal, of course. What exactly does that kid bring to Manchester United? Why do they desperately need him? So we'll talk about transfers as well. The show is live and interactive on social media. It's streaming on Twitter Spaces. So if you prefer the audio option, just go there, tune in. And last week, I dedicated a bit of time to phone calls. Today, I will do same. This time, I will dedicate a bit more time to phone calls. So you can call in and let us know your thoughts on everything we'll be talking about here. But before then, you can join us on Twitter. Use the hashtag GamePlan on Twitter. The hashtag is GamePlan. Leave your message with that hashtag. I'll retweet it and then share it with the rest of our listeners from across the globe. We're also streaming on the Joy FM YouTube page if you prefer the video option. So Go there and check it out. It's also, the link has been shared to all our social media platforms, so you can see there, click on it and then watch the show live. And of course, if you prefer WhatsApp, the number is 055 1111997. 055 1111997. Very good afternoon to all of you and welcome to the show. It's also streaming live on Hits 103.9 FM. So for all our Hits listeners, welcome. This is Game Plan. This show is on every Friday, 1:15 p.m. to 3 p.m. And from now till forever. This show is live, simulcasting on Joy 99.7 FM and Hits 103.9 FM. All right, my guest, he's seated very well. Muftawu Nabila Abdullah makes a return after 3 weeks. This is his second successive appearance on the show since he came back from his, Chronicles, Bowel Chronicles. Daniel Koranteng is here as well. Sitsofe Philip Atsrim is here. Guys, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you all right?
Good Friday, everybody. Good Friday.
Why does Daniel have two microphones pointing to his face?
So much to say. Man.
It's just for mischief.
That's what I'm talking about. Every time he has mischief cooking, he would turn two microphones to his face, then lean towards.
It's mischief.
Is what he's doing?
Yeah.
Since the show started, I've not said anything.
You've not said anything.
You started with it, mischief.
Yeah.
If I talk right now, then you say you screw.
The quantum of granite are itself, he doesn't even know.
Yeah,
Last week he was here trying to and then Karim.
Yes.
Karim said my what was doing was checking. Hey,
welcome
Ken
to the
is
show.
back. Ken is back.
Yes. Ken Anza is here, joining us for the show this afternoon. Ken, how are you? Wait, how are you?
I'm very good.
You're good. Which team do you support?
As in national level or club level?
No, at any level.
Brighton.
Bobby deserving.
I think.
All right, it was lovely having you here, Ken. See you later next week.
No, Fentuo, before he goes. I think Ken was.
You know the mischief is cooking.
No, I think Ken was the player's secret weapon at CAS. I won't be surprised.
Are you not gonna pay me for showing up at least?
No,
appearance fee.
Appearance fee. Thank you. Appearance. Are you not gonna pay me for
Management committee appearance fee.
$10,000.
We don't do that here.
I have my accountant. He'll take care of that, please.
Say the invoice.
Do them an invoice.
We should pay appearance fee to the purse holder.
No,
if you pay appearance fee to the purse holder.
There is enough independence. You'll get an invoice.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, guys, let's get right into it because there's quite a lot to decipher from this ruling. So yesterday, a ruling came out, of course, from the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and it's quite a lengthy one, and it was basically a ruling on the appeal filed by the PFAG on behalf of 21 players who were all banned, suspended by the Ghana Football Association for their involvement in the match-fixing scandal between Ashgold and Inter Allies Football Club. Okay, so those players were handed various bans, some of them 36 months, some of them 24 months, some of them 48 months. But they came together as a collective and filed an appeal. And the grounds of their appeal basically was that they knew nothing about the match fixing and that they didn't deserve the kind of punishment the disciplinary committee handed to them. As far as they're concerned, if anything untoward went on regarding the match fixing, they, the players, were not involved. And you remember some of the evidence that the GFA disciplinary committee used to banned these players. They said some of them were having phone conversations and some of it was hearsay. Somebody said he had heard the scoreline that, like, haven't you been told about playing a fixed game? And all of these things were as a result of hearsay or testimony that they reportedly received from other players. And so at the end of it, the club was demoted to Division 3. Club officials were banned. Division 2 club officials were banned, including the club president and the club CEO. And then 21 players were banned together with Richmond Lamptey. So if you add Lamptey, that's 22. So Richmond Lamptey was playing for Kumasi Asante Kotoko at the time. He was giving, I think, a 6-man ban, if I'm not mistaken. Stand to be corrected. But he was handed a ban as well. The 21 players came together, and the PFAG, the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana, came together and filed an appeal at the Court of Arbitration for Sport on their behalf, because the Appeals Committee of the Ghana Football Association had already upheld the decision of the disciplinary committee after they appealed. And it took quite a long time, but the ruling is finally in, and the Court of Arbitration for Sport was very much, they did not mince any words whatsoever. Okay? And then they just said, so I would just go through the ruling from paragraph 1, which says that the appeal filed by Mercies Alex Asu, and these are the players involved. So if you know any of them, call them and tell them. Alex Asu, Felix Abuska, Mohamed Zakari, Shaibu Tawfiq, Fad Ibrahim, Richard Aqua, Eric Esso, who plays for Hearts of Oak now, Amos Kofi Nkrumah, Stephen Owusu Banahene, Kwame Moses, Ampem da Costa, Franka Koto, Isaac Opoku-Ajman, Solomon Efriye, Mohamed Bailu, Emmanuel Owusu, Samed Mohammed, Paul Asari Devres, you remember him from his Wild Stars days, Amos Adai, a veteran at Ashanti Gold, Abdulkader Mohammed, defender for Ashgold, and Issa Ali, who played for Inter Allies. He says the appeal that they filed against the decision issued on 13th July 2022, so more than a year ago, by the Ghana Football Association Appeals Committee with reference number GFA, and then the reference number is given, and they said that appeal is upheld. And the appeal also, so paragraph 2 says the appeal filed by Richmond Lamptey against the decision issued on 13th July 2022 by the GFA Appeals Committee, and then the reference number is given. They said that appeal is also upheld. Okay? And now it goes on to say that the Ghana Football Association Appeals Committee decision dated 13th July 2022 with reference number this, and then the players are all mentioned. And then it says the sanctions imposed on the following players, then it lists all those players that I just listed, are annulled. Okay, it says the sanctions against all of those players are annulled. And then it goes on to say that the cost of the present arbitration to be determined and served by the CAS court office in a separate letter shall be borne in their entirety by the Ghana Football Association. So it's not just the compensation, but the cost of arbitration, the GFA would pay that one too. It's not stated how much that one is. Then he goes on to say the GFA is then ordered to pay the following players. Then he lists exactly those players. 6,300 Swiss francs, which is equivalent to around 6,300 US dollars, give or take, to be distributed amongst them in equal parts of $300 each. And then the last paragraph says the GFA is also ordered to pay to Mr. Richmond Lamptey the amount of 3,000 Swiss francs, equivalent to 3,000 US dollars. And then there are certain paragraphs that are very specific in the way they describe what this decision means, especially for Ashanti Gold, because lots of people had been asking that question. Now, if you go to the ruling, to paragraph 109 and 110, it says, 109 says, the sole arbitration also notes that the appeal decision also imposes sanctions on other individuals and corporate persons, like the clubs and club officials and other players of the club, coaches, team managers, and that are not a party to these proceedings and that to the sole arbitrator's knowledge, decided not to appeal the appeal decision before the CAS. He said, so the CAS is saying they are aware that certain individuals and clubs and entities have also been affected by the decision. But those individuals and entities have not come before the CAS to appeal the decision. And as a result of that, they say in paragraph 110, it says, taking the aforementioned into account, the sole arbitrator shall clarify that this award and that this decision only addresses the appeals filed by the first appellant and the second appellant. So CAS is saying their appeal only addresses the 21 players and then Richmond Lamptey, which together with the respondent, which is the GFA, will be bound by the decision that is taken by the sole arbitrator. And that, and listen, this is critical, and that no pronouncement is made with respect to those third parties that were also sanctioned by the appeals committee and decided not to appeal against it before the CAS. So this is a really simple matter. 21 players plus 1 brought the case before us. We have ruled in their favor, and our decision only is binding for those specific 21 players plus the 1, Richmond Lamptey, and that any other person that was affected by the original decision at the GFA level that did not appeal at the CAS level, their decision doesn't affect them. So that question about Ashanti Gold is answered right there. The ultimate question is, and Muftawu has been following this right from the very beginning when this story broke. I mean, Muftawu, let's just break it down a little bit here. How is it possible that the GFA bring out a ruling and write quite a lot about the evidence they had against all these players for match fixing, then they go ahead and then impose sanctions on them, and they've gone to the highest judicial body of sport, and it has basically says, you cannot do that. They were not guilty, and that decision is completely thrown out. They cannot be banned. No sanctions can come against them. And now they're back.
Before I come to that point, I just want to read something brief. And this one came from CAS. You would recall when I first wrote to CAS about this matter somewhere July last year. This was what CAF said. It said that the GFA disciplinary committee decisions nor the appeal decision specify the involvement of each individual player in the match. While there is evidence of numerous communications between the president of Ashanti Gold and a volunteer or official of Inter-Allies, as well as evidence of money transactions between them, there is no indication in any of the decisions rendered by the GFA that the players were involved. The only players named in the GFA decisions are players who did not appeal and therefore are not parties to the present procedure. Guess what? In my exchanges with CAS, and also I was privileged to have gotten the preliminary report of the Ghana Football Association. That was right after they released their statement saying that they've banned the players. And the players were actually 24 of them, if not mentioned Sitsofe and then Hashmin.
Yes.
But Hashmin, they were not part. So what
of the collective appeal.
Yeah, of the collective appeal. So when I got a copy of that 17-point preliminary report of the FA investigative team, I made a couple of pronouncements, and I said, 1, the FA relied so much on hearsay to arrive at their decisions instead of providing evidence that these players indeed were involved in manipulating the outcome of the game. Mm-hmm. I also stated that the FA claimed to have gotten Sports Radar, which is a match fraud detection system from FIFA, to also rely on and determine that the game was indeed fixed. If you read the FA preliminary report, the FIFA fraud detection system had said that there were going to be at least 3 goals scored in the game. And they said 1 hour before the game, they noticed that there were betting patterns that suggested that there was a possibility of the goals being more.
I see.
Right? Mm-hmm. And indeed, that was what we saw. That was what we saw. But when the FA released their statement, the FA statement claimed that the sports or the match fraud detection system had indicated there were going to be about 5 goals to be scored in the game. That was, first of all, flawed by the Ghana Football Association. And also, I also mentioned that in one of the points that the GFA claimed that they gathered from the witnesses, it was that Emmanuel Nigogo, who was
the famous team manager,
the volunteer, yes, who was a volunteer that spoke to Richmond Lamte and all that. And I said, if Emmanuel Nigogo was the man who came and told the FA that indeed I had a conversation with Richmond Lamte and these were the discussions we had, and you relied on that to ban Richmond Lamte, it was also flawed.
Did Lamte appear before the committee?
No, he did not. He did not appear before the committee. And in fact, even when the FA were asked to submit
a written request, because he was a Kotoko then.
Yes, a written request. It was Interallies who did it on his behalf. Mm-hmm. So it was done on his behalf by Interallies. But this is basically what I want to say, right? I think that the FA could have done much better in investigating this matter.
You think that the investigation wasn't...
It was not conclusive. They relied on so much sentiments, public outcry, simply because there's perception of match fixing in the game. So they decided to use these 2 clubs as scapegoats. Fentuo. This incident happened, if my memory serves me right, July 17, 2021.
Yes. The decision came exactly a year later.
Within a week, I had published that the FA were planning to demote these 2 teams to Division 2. In October same year, players appeared before the FA, and in fact, not all of them. Some of them first appeared without lawyers. But there were other appearances that they had to make. One of the interesting things that transpired was that when they appeared before the committee, funny enough, the FA's document or decision was ready.
Wait, hold.
It was ready. And it would interest you to know that.
You're telling me that before the FA took witness statements from some suspects, they already had the ruling drafted?
They had a drafted decision lying down.
And you can support this how?
One of them made a mistake, did not cover the document well, and the lawyers of one of the players saw it.
Wow.
And when FIFPro, in fact, it was FIFPro who reached out to the PFAG first about the sanctions that were imposed on the players and asked them what they should do. That was when PFAG said, these are the sanctions the FA has meted out to the players. So FIFPro said, do we have a case? FIFPro even went beyond the PFAG in terms of gathering their evidence. They spoke to lawyers in this very country. They engaged lawyers. They gathered documents. When the players and their lawyers asked for the recordings of the cross-examinations, the FA refused to give them those recordings.
Wow.
So if I come to court for cross-examination, you record the conversation, and I ask for a copy of it. Give it to me. You say you will not give it to me. The FA refused to give it to them. So when this matter went to CAS, it was CAS who directed the FA to make available those recordings, and they made available 8 separate recordings. 8. So if you had 8 separate recordings, that the player said, okay, when we came, we had conversation A, B, C, give it to us, we'll give it to our lawyers to mount a defense for us. He refused to give it out, and it had to go all the way up to CAS. I think the FA too were not being fair to themselves. And if they were really, really honest, they would have given these recordings.
Transparent.
I'm transparent. They would have given these recordings to the players. They would have given it to
After all,
their
no
lawyers.
prejudice.
That's clarity. You never did that. And now FIFRO came in. Then, in fact, one of the lawyers of the players was Yusuf Chipsa. He just graduated recently
With a law degree
yeah,
in
with
sport.
a law degree, in sports law. He was one of the lawyers of the FA, of the players, and then the other lawyer from FIFPro, who mounted a defense for these players and told them that we are very certain that all these players, none of them was involved in manipulating the outcome. You cannot manipulate a game without involving them. And if you read the ruling in detail, right?
Yeah.
The sole arbitrator agreed that indeed the match was manipulated.
Of course it was.
But you need to connect it to the players. If you cannot connect it to the players that indeed player A, B, C, player Sitsofe, player Daniel, player Muftawu, player Fentuo played this role to manipulate the outcome of the game, you cannot just rely on what Fentuo came to tell you, or Daniel came to tell you, or Muftawu came to tell you.
So, in other words, the evidence was not incontrovertible.
Yes.
So, and this is where I like to bring Sitsofe in, because, you see, reading this, let me not get ahead of myself and presume that the players are guilty. But I'm saying that, my brothers and sisters, in case you want to refresh your memory, go back, watch the game. Just watch the game. So there's the issue of morality. Watch the game. Watch everything that transpired in the game. And you tell me that the players, or some of the players that were involved, knew nothing about what they were doing. Because the players basically executed whatever agenda anybody else orchestrated. And this is just by watching. You can tell. The problem, like Muftawu has explained, however, is that the GFA could not incontrovertibly establish the involvement of the players. So the weight of the evidence did not form a conclusive basis for the bans. So they looked at it from the letter of the law. The evidence simply wasn't enough to convict. This is what it is.
And if you want to ban players, it is a legal matter, not an emotional matter.
There you go.
And the very day I read those bans, the release from the FA on both Interlice and Ashgold and the players, I was very vocal on Twitter, and people remember at the time I said that I've read it like 3 times, and I don't see anything in that document that suggests to me that the FA could prove that these players were culprits in match fixing or match manipulation. And that has nothing to do with the fact that the game was or was not manipulated.
Yeah.
If there is a crime scene here and somebody has stolen something, we can all establish that something has been stolen. But we can't accuse, you cannot say for sure that I did it or Danny did it or Fentuo did it unless you're able to establish it. So you can't straight away punish me with the punishment of a thief, thinking that because it's lost and I'm in the vicinity, I am part of it. So I said it plainly that for me, the FA actually used a lot more of emotions than facts and hardcore evidence.
So the uproar, maybe.
Yes, and they were riding on the emotions.
Exactly what I was saying, that the public sentiment.
Yeah, they were riding on the emotions of many Ghanaians who were like, there's
You have
match
to
fixing in
punish,
football.
you have to punish.
You have to punish because the optics were not great. But you see, when you get to the court, in this case, CAS, the optics do not matter.
Yeah.
It is
The evidence.
the evidence and the facts on the ground that matters. And it is why I always said that. And when I said the FA didn't do a good job on the matter, I had a lot of backlash on social media, and normally I don't care about these things because I thought many people were using the emotions. But I was just looking at the legal aspects and the legal implications. And it is terrible. It's a terrible look on the FA because the disciplinary committee did ban these players. And the players went to the appeals committee and it bounced off, right?
Yeah.
So 2 different committees that are supposed to be a check and a balance were all of the same view and the same position on the matter.
Yeah.
a superior committee, in this case court in CAS, has said that no, you guys had it wrong because you couldn't find the right evidence to punish these players. But everybody knows my position on the FA's job. I thought it was a poor job on what they did to establish evidence. I've said it over and over again. But the truth of the matter again is, the Ghana Football Association, as we see it, they are not capable of investigating match fixing. They can't.
Yes, you're saying that they don't have the capacity.
They don't have the capacity to investigate match fixing. It is not,
because quite frankly, it's still going on.
It's and it will go on. I'm saying that match fixing, it is not it's a simple.
It's a very complicated.
It's complex. It's complicated. The level of evidence you need to be able to establish that the match has been fixed.
Even though your eyes can see.
Your eyes can see. Your spirit and your soul.
Deep down.
Is it even a crime in Ghana?
No. It's
to
not
do what?
It's not a crime.
To fix a game.
It's not a crime in an.
It is the
criminal.
football laws that
yes, it's not a criminal thing in Ghana.
It's not a criminal
thing in Italy. It's a criminal thing in
Oh,
Spain.
do you mean
So
is it against the laws of Ghana?
Of Ghana, yes.
So
it's an
what we
ethical
should
law.
do?
Yeah.
What we should do is to reorient the Ghana Football Association and reorient its laws with that of Ghana.
Yeah.
So that the Ghana laws would accept that if you fix a game,
It's a criminal.
It's a criminal
so that
thing.
The
so
state
the
agencies
state
who
agency
have got
cannot
some
come and
capacity can come in and help.
Okay.
But if you leave this to the GFA, they don't have it. They cannot do this job in the case of match fixing. And that is why we've seen the result that we've seen. They are not capable. You see, when I have this discussion with people that betting and match fixing, they are two different things.
Oh, two different things.
They sometimes end in the same place. And in fact, one of the ways of fixing or getting the hint to match fixing is by forming very close partnerships with betting companies.
True.
In the case of Ivan Toney, it wasn't the English FA that saw that Ivan Toney was
the betting company saw his.
It was a betting company because of the relationship and the agreement they have that actually gave the tip that Charlie, have a look at this guy. Yeah, we've seen he's got this account, he's got that. Have a look at him.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to do that. But like I was going to end, we need to have our national law criminalizing these things before we can effectively investigate and prove them. What investigative, capabilities in
Does
terms
the
of
GFA possess right now?
What,
Apart from just asking people,
questions,
did you say this?
Did you do this? Did you do this? No, it's complex. So I knew from day one that even if these players are guilty, the evidence the FA brought didn't suggest to me that they were.
Sitsofe, let's look at the forms of match fixing here and just educate a few people. You mentioned the fact that match fixing and betting are different, but they can meet at a certain point.
Yeah.
So in Ghana, the most common form of match fixing that many people would say perhaps is this.
See how the goalkeeper scored the own goal.
Not just that. So, for example, a club owner knows that they are dangerously lacking in relegation. They know that and that club owner is me.
Yeah.
Sitso's club have no chance of winning the league. There's no chance that they will also get relegated. So the game I'm going to play against Sitso's team, Sitso doesn't need the result. Even if his team is stronger than me and can beat me on a good day, they don't need to win.
Right.
So I go and see him and I say, please, you don't need the win. I need the win. So please tell your boys, let's play it soft. Let me get the win. And in exchange for getting the win, I'll give you this amount of money.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't pay.
Okay.
No, I'm saying, we're just talking about the forms of match fixing.
Yes. So
So that's one form.
In our system, it just tell me and come and play.
No problem.
That's
That's
a-
one.
yeah.
So that's one form.
Yeah.
Okay. So a gentleman's agreement at the top,
at the very top.
and then it trickles down to the bottom.
Yes.
That's one form.
Yes.
Another form could be that, and this is where the betting comes in. Another form could be that I own a team, okay, and I go and see you, and I say, this match that we are going to play, let's agree on the scoreline. The scoreline will be 3-0.
Yeah.
Now, and then you go behind and you go to a betting company and you place a bet on accurate scoreline that this game will end 3-0, and you put 100,000 Ghana cedis on it.
Yeah. And you make your.
And then let's say the odds on it is probably 10
Yeah.
for correct score. So 100,000 times 10. That's 1 million Ghana cedis. Then you see the person, you say, if we play 3-3 and I place 100,000 on it, and you also place 100,000 on it, you get 1 million, I get 1 million, we get our 3-0, and then everybody goes home happy. There's that.
Yes, that. So now the first scenario where you are in need of the points, and I'm a club owner. You're telling me that I should give you the 3 points because you want to survive. I don't need it anyway, because in the league that we play, finishing anywhere else but first or the bottom 3 means nothing.
Yeah.
You just have to avoid the bottom 3 or finish first. Anywhere else means nothing.
Yes.
So, like the first scenario you gave, which is perfect, it doesn't make sense now that you can come to me and tell me to give you 3 points and not ask you to give me a correct scoreline. So these days, because of the easy access to betting, people don't easily only arrange matches for 3 points. In the process of arranging, because what sense does it make? If you can give me the victory, why can't you give me the scoreline?
That's right.
That makes us money.
Or even the number of goals in
The number, that is the scoreline.
Yeah.
That is the correct scoreline. That makes us money. So the first scenario has now
been
moved
combined
on.
with the second.
Yes, and there's another side that people don't even look at it.
I'm listening.
So there's the match fixing, which is the general plan to know the outcome of the game before it's played or when it's being played.
Yeah.
And there is the spot fixing,
Yes.
SPOT,
Yes.
spot fixing,
Yes.
where specific incidents in the game over 90 minutes is fixed. So we are going into a game, and I'm telling you that my team will get the first yellow card. In fact, I'll tell you that Danny K, who is my centre back, he'll get the first yellow card.
Yeah. And betting companies have that on their website.
They have these
Which
options.
player will get the first yellow card?
Or which team will get the first yellow card.
That's harder to predict, so the odds are higher.
And they'll fix another spot and tell you that I'll get the first corner. They'll fix another spot and tell you that I'll get the first red card.
For this to happen, the players need to be
For
involved.
this to happen, the coach, the players, at times the referees need to be involved. Because for an incident that shouldn't be a red card, you absolutely have to find a way of making it a red card.
Damn.
So it is not that simple for you to sit anywhere and investigate match fixing, sports fixing, and sports betting. But the problem now is, if you can fix a match or sports fix, it doesn't make sense that you don't bet it. Because once you're able to predict the outcome or know the outcome,
It's for financial benefit.
For the financial benefits will be to bet on it, to make your financial gains. And that is why we've now seen a very close link for match fixing, sports fixing, linked with match betting or sports betting.
Yeah.
And that is where the synergy is.
And then there is also the issue of number of goals in the game,
Yeah.
which is another form of fixing.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that happened in the Ashgold game, where they said there would be a specific number of goals in the game. One player, Hashmin, says he heard that there would be a specific number of goals. And once they scored that specific number of goals and they substituted him in,
What destroy everything.
he wanted to spoil the bet. So he goes on and he scores a crazy own goal.
Yeah.
In order to spoil the bet.
Absolutely.
So
So it's not a matter of if they did it or not. It's if you have evidence on how they did it. So the optics, when it comes to the league, it doesn't matter. And so when we rode on the emotions and there's match fixing, the GFA are not responding. It's been 1 year. Ashgold are still playing. Why is Ashgold still playing the league? And the release came. Ghanaians were happy. But I said that, put emotions aside. The job the FA did wasn't good enough to show me that those players actually fixed the match. And CAS has just confirmed it. But I don't blame the FA entirely. Like I said, they don't have the capacity to really come forth with those evidence.
yeah, and the players themselves, they cannot be completely exonerated from this whole spot fixing and what have you, because a player can bet on his team getting the first red card and that player goes and gets the red card. So then Sitsofe makes the point about what system we have to monitor that, because how do we know if Sitsofe is a player and he's my brother and we go and bet that Sitsofe will be the first player to get a red card, and I've gone to place a bet on my account, Sitsofe goes and he gets the red card because he's fully aware that his brother has placed a bet. And that was one of the incidents in the game, because one of the players said
Give
he
a number
made
to somebody.
thank you.
And even if you extended, only in Europe, when Kevin Trippier was going to make his move to Atletico Madrid, he only told some friends. He didn't tell them to go and bet. He told them he was getting close. Oh, my daughter Atletico Madrid is getting close. These friends went to bet that Trippier to Atletico Madrid.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And then he was banned. You remember Trippier
Yes,
got a ban for
yes.
that. You know,
Yes.
this is why players or people involved.
That's
are said
where I was getting
to go nowhere near betting because you can spot fix.
Yes.
If I'm a player, and I'm telling you, I'm going to make a crazy handball and get a red card, and I go and bet some crazy amount of money on it. I'll make it happen.
Yes. Yes, they'll make it happen. So then it comes to, Daniel, the point I made earlier. Morality, integrity, the personal integrity of even the players themselves. Because by the law, these players may have been exonerated. But anybody that watched that game, and every single one of those players involved in that game, should have a certain level of shame. Because that was unacceptable.
Fent, you see, I think with the current climate, it's kind of easy for the current political climate in our football.
Yeah.
It's very easy to use this opportunity to go at the FA and say, yes, they did a poor job. But I'm looking at the ruling as a whole, not just focusing on what they did from the players' point of view. If you look at the detail, the level of detail in their initial ruling, when it came to tying in the guys at the top, the club owners, the club executives, and the details that they went through it, getting phone conversations, getting mobile money patterns, you can tell that the FA did quite a good job. The thing is, look, this is not just a football legal issue. It goes across. Look, there are some cases that you just find it extremely difficult to find evidence to prove. The thing can be looking at you in the face, and that's the two things we need to separate: morality and legality. And you said it. The thing is literally looking at you in the face.
Yeah.
But if you can't prove it beyond reasonable doubt, you are not going to win. But it doesn't mean that it suggests the other way. If you get where I'm coming from. We all watch the game. There is no way that the club officials and the people at the top can fix a game and the guys who are playing it are not at the center of it. They can't manifest something that your boss is thinking if you are not fully aware of what is going on. Mm-hmm. It is not possible. But then again, when you take the evidence to the court, the person who is prosecuting will have to show beyond reasonable doubt. And if it's by word of mouth, it is not good enough. That is fact. But again, I'm not going to go at the FA and say they did a poor job.
Yeah.
Because if you say the FA did a poor job, then you tell me what should they have done? Mm-hmm. How are they going to go back in time to go?
Because also because we've also established they don't have the capacity until how many days?
No, this thing, if you even give it to, if you take it outside the FA and you
give it to CID,
it is a very extremely difficult thing to prove. How are you going to tell? How are you going to draw these patterns? Because basically, it is easy to prove it at the top because of the phone messages that were exchanged between the clubs. But if the club official physically told his player, how are you going to prove that they had that conversation?
Then come back to personal integrity.
Exactly. So this thing is extremely difficult to prove. And for me, I feel the FA just looked at the evidence and it's obvious. If you look at the game, if you watch the game, the extended highlights video is even on the FA's YouTube channel. You can go and look at it again. There is no way you can look at that game and see this thing has not been manipulated. So the FA looked at it and they put 1 + 1 = 2. Clearly, if we've been able to catch the people at the top, these players were also part.
But what do you think that? I mean, just do you think that if it was a crime that
the
CID took over, and there is a raid in the homes of some of these players, some of these top officials, they grab their laptops, they grab their phones. Do you not think that it gives them the opportunity to even have proper access to WhatsApp messages, proper access to...
There is that.
If there's a betting app, if you have a betting app on your phone and they open it, they can even, track your things that you've... Because it's a raid. Like we are sitting here, they raid us. Mm-hmm. They take my phone, they take your phone. You open the phone.
You can't hide anything.
What can you hide? No. Unless you flash your phone from a remote, which right now to somewhere you go do. So, so I'm saying that if he had the capacity, in the case of FIFA, mm-hmm. No one person, everybody knew FIFA was corrupt, but we couldn't prove it until there was a raid
by FBI.
And they took, until they had those, in the case of Juventus recently, until they raided their Milan office, they couldn't have proven that some of these transfers were either
inflated or...
Yeah. So if it was a national thing, our police CID.
Okay, so I mean, I think it's a fair point. But
actually, based on the point Daniel was making, you see, the FA did not gather any evidence that suggests that there were messages that were exchanged. The very person
At least by the players.
By the players.
the very person who, by which players?
No.
Because the report of the FA, at no point did they mention the exchanges of messages. Because
no,
it was only this player
point
said this player said that, this player said that.
No.
The person,
Muftawu, hold on.
Who had evidence,
it is true.
The person who had
messages,
evidence of messages
yeah,
was between Dr. Kweku Frimpong and Emmanuel Nigogo.
Yeah.
When Emmanuel Nigogo appeared before the committee, he told them all his messages in his phone were gone.
Were deleted.
Deleted. So which messages? So the person comes to tell you that
it was Momo transactions that they
got from the telecommunications company.
That's false. If anyone tells you, tell the person
it's in the
false.
ruling.
The FA lied.
But how can you prove the FA
It
lied?
is
There's a
false.
ruling.
No, Muftawu.
The FA went to who?
Quiet.
The FA went to who?
No.
For Momo transaction.
Guys,
it was
guys,
Emmanuel Nigogo. Fentuo. I am
Muftawu.
making a point.
Yes.
I have the document
and we
here.
are interrogating your point. Okay, so let's do that. You are claiming that the GFA, because the GFA in their ruling clearly stated that they went to the telecommunications company.
No, it was, read the ruling again. It was Emmanuel Nigogo in this very document who told them the mobile money transactions he had with Dr. Kweku Frimpong and the guy. Pull up the ruling right now. This is the point. It was actually, was it in point 14 or point 15 in the discussion that they had? Here is it. Just a quick one.
Go on.
I'm pulling up exactly the conversation. Okay. During the interrogations, that's what point 11. In the first meeting with Emmanuel Ni Amoa, he stated he got a call the week leading to the match. He stated again that Dr. Kweku Frimpong called him and informed him that he's interested in the match and wanted to win 5-1 against Inter Allies, and later went on to say he wanted to send some money so that he uses the money for his underground work. Ni Amoa stated that 2 days later, thus on Thursday 15 July 2021, he got another call. According to him, the call was from Emmanuel Frimpong, CEO of Ashgold. Emmanuel Frimpong made reference to the discussion Emmanuel Ni Amoa and had with Dr. Kweku Frimpong, and that he wants to send him an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis. These were the things the FA captured in their ruling.
I'm listening.
It proceeded to say that Emmanuel Ni Amoa stated that he gave a Momo agent's number, Isaac Quest, to Emmanuel Frimpong to send the money through the number. Emmanuel Frimpong called to confirm if he has received the money. Ni Amoa answered, and Ni Amoa answered in the positive. According to Emmanuel Ni Amoa, he never contacted any player or management member to inform him about the approaches from Ashgold. Point 12. Emmanuel Ni Amoa stated that Dr. Kweku Frimpong and Emmanuel Frimpong called him several times and also sent him money through a mobile money vendor prior to the match. Hence, we requested for his mobile money records and the mobile money record of his Momo vendor for the period of 12 July 2021 to 12 August 2021.
Okay.
On 16th of August 2021, Ni Amoa met the investigation team for the second time. He came along with some documents that were requested. That's his mobile money records and that of the Momo agent, and also stated that the call records will be ready from the network provider in the due course. The mobile money records were checked and he was asked some questions in relation to it. After going through the mobile money records of both Emmanuel Ni Amoa and Isaac Quist, it was found out that there was inflow of an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis in Isaac Quist's mobile money records from Prince Kwatin in 2 tranches on 15th July 2021.
So there were records.
The FA did not go
provided by the guy.
The guy.
Yes.
Muftawu
point. His point is clear. The FA didn't independently.
They didn't independently gather any evidence.
Okay. But Daniel, back to your point. So, by that establishment, what we are saying is that the FA could have done a better job.
Their capacity is so.
And yes, and Sitsofe says clearly that perhaps if they recruited help from Ghana's state authorities, there could have been a more thorough job, if not completely to our satisfaction or to the point that we would have desired. There certainly would have been a better job done on this than what happened, which has now led us to where we are now.
Exactly. But you see, how can the FA go and seek outside authorities when the thing is not recognized as a crime? You are wasting their time. Yeah, so they will not help you. That's the thing. Yeah. So
but could the FA had gone to MTN for the details?
Calm down.
Muftawu,
I don't think,
no interruptions.
I don't
It's-
think it is fair.
So let him
to
finish,
blame
then
the
you
FA
come.
in that regard. If you get me, if quick example.
Yes.
If let's say stealing was not a crime in this country, and then somebody has stolen your thing, the police is already dealing with a murder case, and you take your theft case to the police, why would they waste
Don't
time
waste their
on it?
budget
Because
and
it's
time
not
on
a
it, because
crime.
It's not recognized.
Do you
as-
get it?
Yeah.
If match fixing is not a crime in our laws, then the FA can't go there and come and say help me.
I agree.
It's going to be extremely difficult for them. So this is it's two separate institutions that must come together if it is recognized in our laws. But once it's not recognized, then the FA are left to deal with it on their own, and that's where Sitsofe comes in, that they are not capable. But they are not capable, not in a negative sense that they don't know what they are doing. Exactly.
No,
that's
not that.
that's
No.
how I want to put it.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
saying that look, it was an extremely difficult job for them to do. It was always going to be very difficult for them to prove it. But for me, I'm sticking with the issue of morality. I watched the game.
Yeah.
I watched the game. I know what I saw. I don't care what legal. And you see, we see these things. It's not everybody who's walking free on the road who has gone to court and has been pronounced not guilty who is not guilty.
Yes.
Some of these things, they are very, very fine lines. So I watched the game. I know what I saw.
Yeah.
I know what I've seen. In fact, when we started the show, I went back and I went to watch the highlights. I've seen it again just to refresh my memory. Beautiful, sweet goals. Very suspicious goals too. So I'm saying that, look,
I
it
still
was
can't believe
difficult.
Hash means go.
It was difficult, but I'll credit the FA because they welcomed the decision. They said if you want to appeal, you can go and appeal. They went to appeals committee, it didn't work. You can go to CAS if you want to go to CAS. They went to CAS, they've come back. It has worked, and they've welcomed the decision. They have allowed the laws to work. Simple. There's nothing you can do about that. So that is from a positive side. But again, and I sort of lean to what Sitsofe is saying. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritties of how the FA did their job, because it would be very hypocritical if we sit here and we say we could have done a better job without help from outside. And I've already tied into the point of how it was going to be difficult for the FA to get help from outside. So if you know that help from outside is almost impossible, then you can't sit here and tell them that you could have done a better job. Go and do it and let's see if you can do it. You can't. It's plain and simple. You can't. So then they've allowed the law to work. But me, basically, I know what I saw. And
Speak to
what
the
I
players.
saw-
Speak to them.
you can't tell me that Kweku Frimpong came to put that ball in the net with his own legs.
It didn't.
You can't tell me that you didn't know anything about it. It might be difficult for us to prove it, but we know what we saw. And I think some of these things, let's not use it politically, because it's a serious canker in our football. And
We need deep introspection.
if we seriously want to get rid of it, again, I'll lean into Sitso's point. This is when what's it called? The lawmakers, parliament,
Yes.
Sports committee select should be on this.
they need to come into this thing
Drafted, amend
and
the
clearly
application.
use this case as an
Yeah.
opportunity to streamline these things, because
Yeah.
if you leave the FA alone, we'll continue to see these things where we'll know that the FA are right.
They are trying, yeah.
They are right, they are trying, but they are just unable to prove the matter.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Daniel. So the verdict is out there. The FA did their job. CAS says their job wasn't good enough, and they've overturned it. And to be fair to the GFA, they had already lifted the suspension to these players way before, so they could register. So all of them
It
had
was CAS. It was CAS who
CAS.
lifted it.
Yeah, CAS has them too, so they had to.
No,
they didn't have a
CAS
choice.
It was an order.
Okay, there you go. So we're saying the same thing. So, so these players we have to establish were already playing. So it's not like the ban was in effect anyway. So it wasn't. They were registered. They were all playing, and now this just vindicates them.
You see, that's the thing. You see, the FA are actually smart.
Yes.
They knew that if you go down the legal route, the players might win. So they didn't insist on banning them. They allowed. They opened them for them to register,
yeah.
continue playing, so that if
No.
it happens,
No.
you can,
Dana,
It was
that
a
is-
ruling
no.
It was an
that
order
tied-
from
that
CAS.
tied their hand.
And
So they couldn't
even
have
the lawyer of the
stopped them.
FA, now Odofole Norte, in her argument, said that what we witnessed in the game brought the image of Ghana football to disrepute, and that CAS should reject
Yeah.
the requests that were made by the players. And the players also came to CAS and said that, okay, if that's what the GFA is saying, then grant us a stay of execution until such a time
Yeah.
the matter is finally
determined.
addressed. So CAS granted the stay of execution. That's what the players
Without
were
that,
allowed
the
to
FA
play.
wouldn't have allowed them.
The player,
so
the
the
player-
FA were not going to allow
the
the players.
FA were never going to allow them to
Yeah,
play.
they were not. They were not. Okay, so that's it. Bottom line, those players had been playing up until now. So I hope that the last 12 months since this matter went to CAS, they have had change of hearts. They've changed their ways because no, it's true. It's true. I stand on the same point as Daniel. I've made it earlier. Personal integrity is extremely important. Okay, you may not be guilty by the letter of the law, but your conscience should also be clean. Is your conscience clean? Is it clean? Were you really innocent? If you were, credit to you. You've been vindicated. If you were not, lucky escape. But the future is still coming. Let's all protect the integrity of our king. It's extremely crucial that we do. What is football? What is anything really without integrity? Politics, journalism, law, business. Without integrity, we're absolutely screwed. Big time. So you have been cleared. Go on, play your football, but please do that with a lot of integrity. Muftawu, a very brief one, just like 15 seconds. A lot of people have been asking, why was the Richmond Lamte case separate from the 21?
Okay. So Kumasi Asante Kotoko decided to file on behalf of Richmond Lamte.
Because at that time he had signed for them.
Yes, he had signed for them.
Yeah.
So the club decided, no, let's do it for him.
So they filed their own case.
Their own case, and in fact, they even went with 3 lawyers.
Wow, interesting. So
yeah.
Kotoko. So basically, Kotoko going all out to defend their own player.
I think that was a smart one from Nana Yamponsa.
It was very smart, and it was criticized at the time.
Yeah.
But now he gets 3,000, the others get 300. So I mean,
and in fact, more is coming, because one thing that we have not even mentioned is that when you take your matter to CAS, the appellant and the defendant, you all pay for the legal fee.
yes.
And most often, the GFA have gained some notoriety when it comes to paying for these things. They will tell you, you took your matter there, so pay the entire cost. But the CAS ruling is like that if you win the case, the respondent will pay the money.
Yeah.
So the FA has still more money to pay.
No, yeah, they do. No, it said it in the ruling.
Yeah,
I said
so
when I was reading.
they will
It said
pay
the cost of the arbitration, the FA will pay.
Will pay. And in fact,
Apart from the fines,
they have money. They
fact-
published their
in
sponsors
fact-
only 2 days ago.
in
They have
fact,
plenty money. They will pay.
and this credit goes to Kumasi Asante Kotoko. In their appeal at CAS, they stated categorically that the GFA will bear the cost of all the entire legal process. This credit should go to Kotoko.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Sitsofe mentioned the GFA's lawyers. Within the week, they released a statement. I said GFA lawyers, GFA sponsors. They released an artwork where they listed all the sponsors that they have.
They have money plenty.
Yes, and
No, but in the last Congress, they had like 14 million Ghana cedis to be in their
Child
account or
pays.
something.
Yeah, the GFA
they have some good money.
the GFA say that they have a lot of sponsors. So Sitsofe said they don't. There's a nice artwork that the GFA has done, and it has Keto Kreku's picture.
It's fresh boy.
Yes, you know, at the top, Mr. President, and it has them there. Betfar, Max TV, Max Muma GFA. They say.
My people,
Yes.
plenty money.
Wait,
Get
please.
away.
No.
Let's not go in detail,
Okay,
please.
relax.
Give them plenty money.
No, Sitsofe has said it. Nabila, keep quiet. Do you work with Max?
have you worked with
Have you worked with Max before? My friend, keep quiet over there.
Stop.
Should we go to the details of the document?
My friend,
Bugger.
keep quiet over
Bugger.
there.
Okay, no further comment.
Bet Power, Max TV, Tempo, the footballs, have they stopped supplying or?
It started as Macron, no. So what happened to Macron?
I don't know. STC, Access Bank, someone be Go Wash, KGL, Decathlon, Betway, Malta, Flora Joy, Mara, Goyle, Sherry, they give them cars, I remember that one. Zipe, Ballona, Night Angel, Awake, Visit Ghana, Melcom, Bethel Dental. They went there 2 weeks ago. Woodin, I've seen the Woodin shirts. Uber. The Uber, they said they partnered it to go and watch WPL games.
Even the STC is for them to transport the referees. In
Yes.
fact, they will take part of.
And
the
Zaz,
cost.
which one is Zaz? Anyway, so
no, the referees.
kits.
yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 4. Hey, that's a lot too.
Wait, did you mention
24. Yes, I
give them
mentioned
water.
that.
In fact, they share the water
I
raw.
have 24. So since 2019, 24 sponsors. So please, those of you saying the GFA is broke, the GFA is not broke.
Can
they
never
can
be.
afford to pay their own coach impo. The minister says the coach is owed, both coaches, right?
Yeah.
He said
You see, they still owe them.
He said people should stop saying that they've only paid CK.
He said we don't.
No, okay. The
No,
claims
they
were that
say-
they've paid Milo.
Yes, sorry.
Uh-huh.
That they've paid Milo and they've not paid CK. And
we
that,
owe both
please,
of them.
we owe both of them. We haven't paid one.
He said the coach, you know that we call him Milo. We have not paid him.
Interesting. Anyway, your messages are welcome. 0551 055 1111997 055 1111997. The hashtag is game plan on Twitter. Loads of your messages on what we've been discussing. Let me read some of them, of course, before we go into transfers. Abdul Hamid on Twitter says, brilliant take from Daniel and Sitsofe. The FA had to make a decision and they did. It's unfortunate the technicalities of law favored the players. There's more here. This message is from Godwin Lade, and Godwin says, people praising Nana Amponsa for being smart on this Richmond Lamptey ruling. You have a so-called international lawyer that you paid $72,000 over 3 years, and all he did was make $3,000 for Richmond Lamptey. No wonder club owner would show you the exit. Never again. I think sometimes when we look at some of these, avoiding legal cases, it's also a win. You see,
even what the person said is not entirely accurate.
That's what I'm saying. So it's a bit of an,
Yeah,
it's
it's not
a bit
entirely
unfair. But let me read more messages. Winfred AFC says, on a more serious note, I'll blame the existence of betting companies. Else, why will the class fix a game at a particular scoreline and not just who wins in a match fixing? There's also that. But the club, the betting companies, they exist, and it's up to. It's like
with or without the betting companies, the games will be fixed. Matches
no.
have
What
always
he's
been
saying
fixed.
is that.
But now they are making money off the betting.
That's
so
the
you can't
point,
blame
and he's
the
saying
betting
that
companies
it's
for
because
fixing.
betting companies exist.
No. They were
But before they were exchanging the money physically.
they were sending
in
money
fact,
or
where do-
exchanging the points.
We were even
Good.
doing lotto.
Let me
Yes.
read more messages. Godwin Ladi says, we live in a country where everybody has taken sides. The guy making serious allegations against the FA, I think you're talking about Muftawu. I think if he had all this information, why didn't he come out until the ruling came out? Interesting. He's a journalist. He has spoken about this many times. So
Maybe he's hearing me for the first
Yeah,
time. I was blocked on the FA social media channels because I said what their preliminary document was different from what
the
they published.
FA media channels are not the only ones who have blocked you.
and they blocked
if
me.
you joke, I'll go through a list.
They blocked everybody.
You are a national problem.
No.
Everybody's
Alright.
No, but he's mentioning the FA. That's what I'm saying. That
Let me read.
Because I said something different from the FA, they blocked me. That's all.
Okay. And I'm saying that you haven't been blocked by only the FA. So you have a...
You like agenda.
Good afternoon. Bedroom Pep Guardiola from La Paz. If Chelsea don't get Caicedo as a DM, which other player can they also buy to replace him? We can't allow Brighton to bully us every transfer window. This one says, good afternoon, guys. Rodrigo
No.
DePaul from La Paz.
Bedroom, Rodrigo de Paul.
Please.
This one is Bedroom Rodrigo DePaul from...
Uh-huh.
They play defense for their own.
The
the
other
other
one is bedroom Pep Guardiola.
Okay, no problem.
This one is bedroom Rodrigo.
No P. Please, can you start with the foreign sports? So we that we are interested in the local news, no, we can stop listening to you after you are done with the foreign, please. You see the issue? There are people, if you do foreign, they say you are EPL journalist. If you do local too, they say do foreign. What should we do? This one says, with this CS ruling, I think people are making very serious allegations. And then he says, coming to the Women's World Cup, I love the Nigerians play. Their energy levels against the Aussies was crazy. They are about to write history. They drew with 7 franc Canada and they've beaten 10 franc Australia. Let's see how it ends. Watch out for my Kai Havertz. He would break boundaries. And you say, this is the Bayer Leverkusen Kai we're building at Arsenal. Godwin, enough Kaneshi with that message. Nitojo from Tema Newtown says, Ghana, we did. Anything and everything is possible. This one is from Hukpoti, and he sends us a passage. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no way.
He says, he writes a letter. He says, my dear Joy Sports team, I hope this message finds you in good spirits. My name is Hukpoti Godwin. I'm writing to you today with great enthusiasm to share an exciting opportunity for 2 exceptional athletes, my sisters, Janet and Grace. Okay, let's hear about his sisters, okay? I'll spare you a few minutes. He says, for years now, Janet and Grace have been consistently participating in zonal competitions, showcasing their unwavering dedication and immense talent in various sports. Their passion for sports has been a driving force in their lives, and they've consistently proven their abilities during every blessed year they've competed. As their sibling, I have witnessed their remarkable progress, determination, and commitment firsthand. It's evident that they possess the potential to achieve great success in their respective sports and bring honor not only to themselves, but also to any team fortunate enough to have them. Now, we are on a quest to find a new team, he says. And, all right, no problem. Janet and Grace.
All the best.
Grace will find Grace. And as for Janet...
Grace will find Janet.
Jane will find Janet.
All right, Jane. This is Game Plan on 99.7 Joy FM. Also on Hits 103.9 FM. We'll take a very short break. When we come back, we go into transfers. Chelsea and Caicedo, what's going on there? Should they walk? Should they stay? Manchester United's team and the pursuit of Rasmus Højlund. Daniel Koranteng has a big agenda or a case with Barcelona. What's going on? What's his beef with the Blaugrana? We'll talk about all of that, plus some Women's World Cup, of course, here on the show. Don't flick that down. We'll be back very, very shortly. This is 99.7 Joy FM. The show is Game Plan. It's exactly 30 minutes past the hour, 2 p.m., and we are running till 3 p.m. here on the show. My name is Fentuo, Tahiru Fentuo, your host. I'm here with Sitsofe, Atsrim, Daniel Koranteng, and Muftawu, Nabila, Abdullah. Gone by, we had a conversation about the Court of Arbitration of Sports ruling clearing 21 plus 1 Ghanaian footballers who were banned by the Ghana Football Association for their involvement in the match-fixing scandal that rocked the Ghana Premier League some 2 years ago in 2021. Of course, next up, we are talking transfers, and your messages are welcome on 055-111-1997. Lots of messages here already. I'll read some of them. 055-111-1997. Use the hashtag Game Plan on Twitter as well. We're retweeting the messages and sharing them with the rest of our listeners from across the globe. But I'm asking who your real guy is, your only G for life, the one that's got your back. And that, of course, is Duraplast Ghana Limited. And they're saying, let's leave no chance to water storage this rainy season. Get water tank. The only water storage tank with water level indicator to let you know the accurate water you have available. Duraplast Limited precision is a virtue we trust most, hence our consistency in providing you with quality PVC and HDPE pipes for accurate and excellent plumbing and electrical works, including drainage pipes for free flowing of water without implosive blockages. And when we say you have 5,000 litres, it's exactly 5,000 litres. So you can call Duraplast today on 0242 818 874 for your water tank and other plastics pipes. And you can locate them. Plot number 1011 12 Dadiban Road, North Industrial Area, Accra. Or locate a distributor close to you for your authentic Duraplast products. Water tank, what a tank. Remember, where Duraplast goes, water flows. The Joy News Habitat Fair is next Friday. Our Thought Leadership Program, the Joy Sports Thought Leadership Program is next Monday. This coming Monday, of course, the 31st of July, we are at Labadi Beach Hotel, of course, speaking about why there is low attendance to Ghana Premier League matches. Of course, we, Insurance Sports, in collaboration with Joy Sports, conducted a survey soliciting for people's views on why they're not going to the stadium. That program will be where we present our findings, and we have experts to try and help us understand and find creative and innovative ways of getting the fans back into the stadium. That's at the Labadi Beach Hotel on Friday. It's open to the public, so you can come around as well. And then we can have a conversation there. And that's not the only one happening in terms of thought leadership about sports programs or sports business. Sitsofe, Philip Atsrim, and myself are moderating an Afro Sport football business summit, of course, on Tuesday and Wednesday, where expert panel from around the globe, 20 different countries, are coming into Ghana to speak football business. All of it in trying to find solutions to our football problems and ultimately seeing how we can maximize the business potential that exists in the football ecosystem. That's on Tuesday and Wednesday, the AfroSport Football Summit at the Accra International Conference Center. A little on that from Sitsofe towards the end of the show. Of course, towards the end of the show, you guys should remind me, today's my wife's birthday, so that I don't forget. That's right. So towards the end of the show, we will talk about that. But now let's give the listeners what they want. Listen, guys. Yesterday, it emerged that Chelsea had an £80 million bid for Caicedo rejected by Brighton and Hove Albion, who are not ready to sell until they get 100 million reportedly, or if Chelsea are willing to add Colwell to the conversation, a centre-back that spent last season on loan at Brighton. The ultimate question is, Daniel, I saw your tweet. You said Brighton are not serious. I've seen other people say Chelsea pay up because Chelsea themselves are not serious because Arsenal had an £80 million bid rejected for the same player only in January. Why should you expect to pay this exact same amount of money 6 months later? You get the point. So, but what alternatives really exist for Chelsea at this moment? Because I think we can all agree that they desperately need midfielders. But Caicedo for 100 million, no matter what, you pay him with Enzo Fernandez. You have 200 million pounds in Chelsea's midfield. And what do you get from that? Is that the best midfield two in the world for 200 million pounds? If you're Chelsea, what do you do in this situation? I'm going to start with you, Daniel.
But look, I feel sorry for Chelsea.
How so?
I alluded to it last week. The way they've gone about their transfer business, they've basically set themselves up. So we all knew at the start of the transfer. In fact, in January, Chelsea was also chasing Caicedo before the cool down. Then Arsenal became the
leaders.
The leaders in that transfer race. Arsenal also cooled down. We all know that you and Brighton have this. It's not even long standing. It started.
It just started after they took their coach.
Exactly. So it's become some way. You've thinned out your squad to the point that everybody in the world knows that you are basically a skeleton. You are in desperate need of players. So you've set yourselves up. What you've done is, Brighton know that Caicedo is your top target. Brighton have looked through your team. You bought Mudryk for 70-something million.
I don't think it was that.
You
up
bought
to that much, but it was expensive.
Yeah, it was around 80, close to 80 million euros.
Mudryk was like 80-something, 70-something million.
Million pounds, 80 million euros. Something else.
Wafa Enzo, about 120 million.
Yeah, in Drew 100.
$120 million, 105.
I do know the currency and
euros or something.
Yeah.
Do you know the currency and
150.
On the 100 million.
It could even be 500 billion Ghana cedis.
It's okay. Daniel, continue.
When did they look through this Boli assembled team?
Fofana, they bought Fofana for 70 million.
70 million. When they look through this Boli assembled team, they look at a group of wannabes who are extremely expensive. Because Mudryk no rich. Enzo no rich.
World Cup winner.
Kuku no rich.
The Kuku, nothing they bought me past the Kuku.
No, you see?
Did you see the goal Chelsea considered against Brighton? Did you see Kuku?
Relax for Kuku.
But you
Look,
being harsh, Abba.
remember that
Sorry,
Brighton
that
are
wasn't the
same
Brighton game. The last game
Newcastle.
was Newcastle.
Look,
You saw Kuku
Relax
in
for
the
Kuku.
equation.
Relax for Kuku.
He went out, came back. It was like PlayStation
Kuku
control.
didn't send himself to Chelsea. You went to buy him. Look, Brighton are the same people who sold Kuku to Chelsea. So when Brighton look
For
at
60 something.
thank you.
65 million or so.
So when Brighton look at the level of talent with Caicedo and they compare it to Kuku and they add desperation, they see that the thing straight hand. Oh, you think I'm joking? But it's true. It's clear desperation, and they know that. Look, this thing Chelsea have to pay the money. But the reason why I said Brighton are not serious is, look, I don't like this thing that some of these clubs do. You see, you have a gentleman's agreement with the player in January that when he signs an extension, it will boost his transfer value for you, and you allow him to go.
Yeah.
Then the summer comes. Now you are tossing and turning about. It's not fair because 80 million is a very good valuation for Caicedo. In January, they didn't accept it because it
didn't make sense.
It didn't. No, not that it didn't make sense. The time for them to go and find a replacement was just a bit short, and they were in the middle of a season. And at that time, they were actually going for European football. They had a realistic chance of finishing the European.
And they were vindicated for keeping him because they made
so
Europe.
So now that time has passed. We all know that. Look, you and I sitting here, we know that Brighton already know who they are going to replace Caicedo with. Brighton scouting, Bobby De Zerbi and that cool crew.
They already know.
They already know, and the boy is probably like 5 million. Do you understand?
Somewhere in Europe, somewhere in Uruguay.
So they'll go and buy 5 million players.
How much did they buy Caicedo? Wasn't it like 2 million or 3
Yes,
million?
like 3 million.
6 months later, they sold Bissouma. They had already started planning for Bissouma's exit. They knew the boy was going. So quick. But you see, that's why I say Brighton are not being fair. Because we know that this 80 million should be enough. But again, what Chelsea have done in assembling this team, they've given everybody the impression that they have money to spend. Plus, you've also thinned out your squad, and it has produced desperation. So you are look, wherever you go, if Chelsea enter the Lavia bid, Lavia is going up to 70 million.
That's crazy. And Sitcho, here's my question.
And it has always been like that. Anytime there's a tag of war when there's a bidding war for the services of the player, it shoots up. Depending on the club that are involved.
The other thing I want to say is that within the week after the Newcastle game, Pochettino said that he desperately needs to trim his squad down. And it's quite ironic because Daniel just said that the squad is thin, but we also know they still have too many players. He took 29 players to the US. Yeah. But how many of them are actually, he said he was specific. He said he needs 23 to 24 players.
To 25.
But he has 29.
Yeah.
But somehow Chelsea still need to sign new players. It's a very tricky situation they find themselves in. Here's the question though. You've seen them in 2 preseason games. Obviously, that may not be enough body of work to judge. But is there enough potential in there for Chelsea to decide and say, we're going to trust Caicedo and Andre Santos to do that work? Perhaps even Matt Singh. He has indicated that Matt Singh has shown great things for him to be in his plans going into the new season. If Chelsea are in a rebuild right now, and they cannot get Caicedo for money that they deem reasonable, you think that they should be patient enough and just trust the new boys, or by all means they have to sign a player for 100 million?
It depends on ambitions. As I said, potential-wise, Chelsea have got a lot of potentials. Very, very talented young players and what have you. It depends on Chelsea's ambitions. If Chelsea's ambitions are to compete for laurels, they might need a lot more quality. If Chelsea's ambitions are to compete for the top 4, they might need a lot more quality, because it's not about the potential of the players. It's about to sustain a certain level of consistency at this level.
Yep.
These young players will show flashes. If you blend them with some very talented footballers, they might be able to go all the way.
Yeah.
But can they go all the way, even though they have potential, throughout the rest of the season? I think that is where they might struggle. They've got a great coach who will improve a lot of them who will be around the team. But I still think Chelsea need bodies coming through. And that is why the Caicedo signing, and Danny has explained it brilliantly, because Brighton know Chelsea are in desperate need of the player and the quality that they've got. Brighton know that Chelsea will need players if they want to get back to competing. And Brighton and Roberto De Zerbi has thrown a cheeky one out there and saying that Chelsea are playing in only the Premier League. We are playing in Europe. There's no point in
It's a fact. It's
enforcing Caicedo to Chelsea when we are in Europe and we need a lot more players and a lot more quality.
He's even speaking to Caicedo's mind too.
Yeah,
that we are playing in Europe. Why are you going to a team that's not playing in Europe?
And you see, for Brighton as well, we need to also establish the fact that Caicedo is potentially their most sellable asset since they formed the club. He's about their brightest talent or brightest discovery or scouting project since since this group started handling
Hey,
the club.
Ole!
And you see, Brighton have said things that has indicated that they won't budge or they might not budge.
Okay.
They've said they rate Caicedo in the ranks of Declan Rice, who left for Arsenal for 100 million for 5 million add-ons. And Brighton have openly said that they rate Caicedo in that
Is that just a statement, or on the football level, Caicedo is the same as, like it's on the same pedestal as Rice?
Yes. that they rate them at the same level.
No, they said that. I'm
Brighton.
asking you.
Yes, that's what Brighton.
Yes, I get it.
You're
but
asking if I
if you think so.
I think so.
You think Caicedo is as good as Rice?
I think so. And then this is why. Because in the position that they play, globally, there's a sausage. The position that they play, globally, they are short.
Don't United already have like 3 of them? They alone have. I said United.
who
Don't
have
Arsenal
now?
have like 3 of them?
Who?
Thomas,
Jorginho, no
Rice.
team will take Jorginho now. No team will necessarily take Partey because of age-wise. We are looking at Caicedo, who has got the rest of his football ahead of him. Declan Rice, who is still young and can improve. You can't improve Jorginho, you can't improve Partey. So globally, the DM position and the way they play, there's a clear shortage in quality. That is why Chelsea don't even know where to look. That is why
For
a lot
alternatives.
of yes, and that is why Brighton are holding up to that price tag as well, because they know they survey the markets. They know you can. So let's also go and buy Tchouameni or Valverde
Or Lavia.
or Lavia, and even Lavia. He played in a Southampton team that had no pressure. They were always losing. He couldn't hold the midfield, but you won't blame him because it was the team. When you bring him to Chelsea and he has to hold it and make it tight, has he shown
The
it
pressure
at
will
any
be
level
different.
that he can do it? And that is why I think Caicedo is that expensive that they are quoting. But maybe Chelsea might have to cook it up and pay up.
You mean stomach it and pay the money?
Yeah, they might.
Oh, I think they should walk away.
Sometimes
Walk away and get
no.
Hold on.
You know,
Muftawu.
sometimes you
You
just
just
need to
said they
trust.
should walk away.
You just need to trust what you have
Jaisa,
at the moment.
Jaisa,
No,
Charlie.
it's not about Jaisa.
Charlie.
Daniel, every single season. What if you signed a player today, in preseason he gets injured, he's out for 6 months?
No, you see, these are very.
What
these are
becomes
very
of your alternatives?
These are very
So, okay.
hypothetical.
I like this.
It's a clear. No,
Alright,
sometimes
guys,
sometimes the hypothesis.
one after the other.
Okay,
Sometimes.
No, Sitsofe. One
What
after
if-
the other.
On Muftaw's question, what if you sign Caicedo and is injured?
Okay.
What if Chelsea goes into the season with the team that they have and Enzo gets injured? Or Caicedo gets injured?
Shock.
You get it?
No,
It's a very good question you asked.
No, I got the
I
argument.
think, Muftawu, what they're saying is that the what ifs will always be there.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean you should,
No,
you
sorry,
should
no,
walk
but
away
hold
from
on, they're
quality.
saying that the
But-
what ifs will always be there. It doesn't mean that it should stop you from doing. That cannot be like a good reason enough
Yeah.
to walk away from a deal.
So don't you have academy players that you can give confidence to come in?
Oh, they are there.
Sometimes I feel, well, it is not my money, but it's quite weird. It's quite weird that
All right.
someone is
No, but all of you here.
twisting your hand
Yeah.
to take over £100 million.
They are not twisting
Charlie,
your hands.
it's
It is their
quality.
assets. No, it is their assets.
It's a
They
quality
determine
asset.
the cost. Okay, now this,
Alright.
let me
Isn't
ask
it-
this. Let me ask
it's
all of
okay.
you here.
What's
okay.
the twist of
Fence, I
hand?
want to get
okay.
all of your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, it's okay.
What's the
Chelsea
twist of hand?
paid-
In the
Chelsea paid-
desperation.
No, Chelsea
Had
paid
it not been
over-
desperation, why would they ask you for that?
Please. He's talking to me. You are
Chelsea-
talking to Daniel.
Chelsea paid
Ah,
over
he's
100
talking to
million.
me.
I'm even shocked. So one at a time.
Okay,
Sitsofe, yes.
Chelsea paid over 100 million for Enzo Fernandez, a player who had not played over 60 games in his professional career.
Won a World Cup.
Had
But go on.
had a very good World Cup, but in a very small sample size. And Chelsea paid over 100 million for the player. He's come into a league where he didn't have any experience of it. We've seen Caicedo, who top 10 Premier League midfielders of the season when he's played. You cannot overlook him. Are you saying that Brighton are not right to say that Caicedo, yeah, he didn't win, of course, Ecuador would never win the World Cup, but for the job he's done with Brighton and the Premier League experience he has and his age, are you saying that Chelsea can go outside England and get Enzo for over 100 million?
Oh, Brighton
But
are right.
Can't demand 100 million for Caicedo with
Bright-
experience in the
Brighton
Premier
are
League.
right.
All right. So Chelsea should pay.
That's
Okay.
that's not clearly the point I was making. My
I'm
point,
asking it.
no, it's a genuine question.
You are saying they
asked.
should trust who
But
they
clearly,
have.
my point is that, like Daniel mentioned, Chelsea are very desperate.
Yeah.
That is why Brighton are holding out for that money.
Question.
If Chelsea was not desperate,
Question. Were it another team, you think they wouldn't insist?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure Brighton would have held out for that amount of
They
money.
rejected
on
80
80.
million from Arsenal in January.
And
For
you know
the same
difference?
player.
When they rejected 80 million, Caicedo signed a contract extension, which means now
They
his
want more.
valuation- His valuation has gone up.
Anyway, guys, I know that.
It's the Premier League monies that are quite funny because you see better players in other leagues who don't go for that amount of money.
Okay.
Valverde,
Now-
how much are they quoting for Valverde?
Valverde came
For
from
Liverpool.
South America.
Liverpool. How much is Liverpool going for Valverde? So, just imagine McAllister. How much did Liverpool sign him?
But
That guy
McAllister
was
is
incredible. If Chelsea were to go for the services of that player, they would have quoted 80 million, 90 million, 100 million
had
for
a
him.
release clause, so Liverpool paid up. And no, you see, no, it is true. McAllister had a release clause, and Liverpool paid up.
Okay.
City, Erling Haaland had a release clause, and City paid up. The guy is over 150 million, but they paid 50 something million.
All right, cool. That's fair. So Chelsea need to pay the money. Just stomach and pay the money. The Chelsea fans, I don't know what you think. 055 111 should the club just walk away and trust Andre Santos and Casadei, or what should they do now? Because it looks like Chelsea have put all their eggs in one basket. Either it happens for Caicedo or nothing. And in fact, if you read the news, Brighton themselves also want to sign Kudus, and so do Chelsea. But for Brighton to sign any other player, the reports are that it's dependent on them selling one player. And I can guarantee you, Brighton probably will be happier keeping Caicedo than having to sell him and go and bring another player. But that, Sitso, I don't know. What's the latest on that Kudus to Chelsea thing? Is that realistic? Is that going to happen? Because reports were that Chelsea had reached out to his camp and they were close to agreeing personal terms even at some point.
Yeah, there was also indication that Kudus has started showing, the signs that he wants to leave.
He missed a couple of training sessions.
Yeah.
And they said it was injury.
Minor injury and what have you. But the indication that he wants to leave the club. It's not the first time. He's been here before. January. There was an indication that he wanted to leave the club.
When the
Everton
interest
the start of last season as well, when he wasn't starting games, and in January as well, there was also that. So I think his mind is still there as to whether Chelsea. What I hear is Chelsea have not necessarily tabled an offer. They went to make an inquiry about the availability of the player. So there's nothing really serious, concrete there. But what we've seen is that Brighton have shown like genuine interest that they would like to sign him. I will see how that goes. I think he might move if Ajax do get a very good offer.
I'm going to open this phone line shortly, but Rasmus Højlund to United, 60 million, according to reports, rejected by Atalanta. United need to pay 70 million. That doesn't seem like a big deal. It seems like that transfer will happen.
No, but if the price keeps going up, it may not go up.
It's
Look, it's a bit too expensive for the kind of player they are bringing in. Because
what kind of player is he?
Look,
why do United want him?
I like him because I think he fits the mold and he fits what I think the manager is trying to do. And I'm using it based on what we saw at Atalanta last season. At Atalanta, what am I saying?
Karim! You have a sound bite. We have a promo.
Charlie,
Muftawu.
Fentuo, Tahiru.
You're coming up.
Look,
because of this boy.
Mikoto did form.
Yeah.
I know I've aired. I know I'm finished. So, Charlie,
Wait. Say their name.
No. I'm not a fool. What we saw in the Serie A last season. What we saw in the Serie A last season.
Which team?
Gasparini's team.
Atalanta. Yes. What we saw last season, you see, he was sort of like a link-up forward. So he wasn't their main source of goals. And I'll liken it to what we saw with Liverpool and Firmino. Not the same thing, but the idea around it. So he was sort of bouncing off. Yeah, players were bouncing off him and getting goals. And he also dished out a good 9 goals. But the 9 goals are very important because when you look at his XG at the end of the season, it was 9.2. And then he scored 9 goals.
That's a good
so with the
return.
opportunities that he was given, he was scoring the goals. And you can understand why Ten Hag wants a player like him, because Man United have a goal-scoring winger who they largely depend on in Rashford.
Rashford.
Relax. So, in order to get the best out of Rashford, you need that centre forward who can play with him.
Okay.
And that's why I didn't really work with Rashford and Ronaldo. Because then Ronaldo will score the goals and Rashford needs to rely on his creativity, which he doesn't really have in his game. So with Martial up there, with Vegas up there, players who he can bounce off, it gets the best out of him. And I feel if you have a player like Charlie, if you have Vegas has gone back to Burnley. If you have a player like as in last season,
okay.
If you have a player like Højlund up front who can get goals when he's given the opportunity, but at the same time too, he can also allow players to bounce off him. It makes sense because then you have 2 goal scoring or even 3 goal scoring threats with Bruno, Rashford, and then Højlund, and then the attack can be a bit more fluid. So I understand.
You understand why they want him?
Yeah.
But Atlanta say 70 million or no deal.
70 million or no deal. It's not my money.
So they should pay.
They
All
should
right. 0302 216 541. 0302 216 541. I'm dedicating 7 minutes to phone calls. 0302 216 541 and 055 1111997. 055 1111997. Those are the phone lines. Your thoughts on all of the issues are welcome. Daniel, you said you had something to say about Barcelona. I'm just going to give you 60 seconds.
No, it's a promo. It's a promo for Monday Night Sports Zone.
Okay.
It's a promo.
Well,
so on Monday, a month ago, I made a statement about Barcelona where I said they needed to fix their defense. And people came at me because they were looking at raw defensive numbers. But there are some hidden weaknesses in that Barca defense. And it was largely, in fact, their defensive numbers in the La Liga for me personally was largely due to Ter Stegen's performance and the wastefulness of La Liga forwards and the low standard of La Liga forwards.
They give away chances like Christmas.
Thank you.
Gifts.
Thank you. And we didn't see the same thing in the Champions League or the Europa League, where the quality was higher. So on Monday,
we'll deal with their defending.
Deal with their defending.
Okay, interesting. Let's go to Farouk from Lakeside. It's our first caller. Farouk.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Friend, I was listening and I liked what Ms. Barrow said after that I said the deal. I think the maximum we should go is 90, maybe 80 plus 10. If they say they don't like that one, then we come backward because it's not only about the transfer. Dan said we've already exposed ourselves with the Enzo and the Modric. So people think once they take us to the edge, we'll barge in and just pay. So use this transfer, the Caicedo deal, to set an example for future transfer deals. So if we are not going to take 90, then we just go to the other options we have.
All right, no problem. And what are the other options? I would have been interested. Kweku from Tema is joining us. Kweku. Hello, Kweku. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kweku. Go ahead.
Yeah, not much, but I only called to say good afternoon to Marshall Agbagba, and I hope he's listening to Daniel this afternoon. And Sunday edition team, I hope they are all listening to Daniel this afternoon. Thank you.
Kweku call with his own agenda. Interesting. All right. I've got another caller on the line. So just take off Kweku and then we can go to the next one. 0302 216 541. 0302 216 541 and 055 1111 997. Sitsofe, briefly, I would like you to touch on Harry Kane to Bayern Munich. Apparently, the Bayern Chiefs are setting up a meeting with Levy in order to get him to sell. How much is enough for Kane to Bayern?
If he's going outside England, I think close to 100 million. If he's staying in England, it's got to be 100 and more. I think that is what it is. So Bayern are going to look between 70 to 100 million. That is where you get
Harry Kane.
Because signing money, as we understand now, has agreed terms to go and play alongside Cristiano Ronaldo.
Here we go.
In Al Nassr.
Riyad Mahrez has also completed his move to Al Ahly. Yeah. Let's go to Prince in La Paz. Prince.
Yeah.
Prince, can you reduce the volume? Yeah, reduce the volume on your radio set.
Okay.
Please. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Yes, afternoon.
Yeah, please. My nickname is Bedroom Rodrigo Depot. I'm the one who sent the text message.
Yes, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
He called to tell us that his name is Bedroom Rodrigo Depot. Interesting. We'll take one last call from Selom in Jamestown. Selom.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. They promised to sign some players to replace the players that are leaving. Has he signed any players or after that?
Who?
Jurgen Klopp of Liverpool.
He signed McAllister. You forgot it.
That's the only one.
No, they also signed Zoboslai. You forgot it.
Okay.
Wait. The last player said they signed. No, what's his name?
Because he.
No,
he,
wait. What?
Nobody is not good, so we are expecting that he should get more players.
I get you. The midfield, they signed one player. You know his name.
If I tell you that I know them, I do actually know them.
All right, thank you very much. That's Selam in Jamestown, and Selam will be our last call. That's our show for today. Daniel, Sicho, Muftawu, Nabila, Abdullahi, thank you so much. It's been lovely coming your way with another episode of Game Plan. My name is Fentuo, Tahiru Fentuo. Today is the birthday of my beautiful wife. That's right. Yes.
No, allow him to give a sweet message. She's listening. You are saying what is
relax, la.
Okay,
So
we are relaxed.
My dear Sini, I love you.
Oh,
Fantastical.
Charlie.
I love you.
Oh, Charlie.
Medo.
Oh, Charlie.
I love you.
Oh, Charlie.
Fentuo is that typical Northern man who's not romantic, so he doesn't have the words.
Thank you very much. We're back again next week. The show was live on Hits FM and Joe FM. We're back again next Friday. This is Game Plan on 99.7 Joe FM and 103.9 Hits FM. I'm your host.